The house was quiet in the way houses are before everyone notices something is wrong. Dishes from dinner sat stacked on the counter. Plates still had traces of food. A half-empty glass of water shimmered in the kitchen light. By 7:52 p.m., the Smiths' neighbors had begun to settle in for the evening. A television hummed faintly through the thin walls. The occasional sound of children laughing from a nearby yard. Nothing seemed unusual. Yet inside the Smith house, lives disappeared overnight without a single trace. Margaret Smith had cooked roast chicken and mashed potatoes. The aroma lingered, promising warmth, comfort, normalcy. Her husband, David, had set the table with the care he always did on Thursdays. 2 boys, 13 and 9, had complained about broccoli but had eaten anyway, negotiating extra dessert as a reward for compliance. After dinner, Margaret had rinsed dishes while David cleared the table. The boys debated whether to finish a homework assignment or sneak a game on the tablet. By 8:15, the family should have been scattered through the house in routine chaos. By 8:30, Margaret went to check the laundry room. The pile of clean clothes waited as usual. By 8:32, David stepped into the garage to grab a box of tools for a project the younger boy had requested. It was only a few minutes later that she noticed the silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears. Not the calm silence of sleeping neighbors, not the quiet of a TV turned off, but the kind that makes the world feel hollow, like it's waiting for something to happen that never will. "David," she called softly at first, then louder when there was no reply. No footsteps. No shuffling clothes. No voices. By the time she reached the kitchen again, the house seemed empty in a way that chilled her more than any stranger could. The front door was locked as always. The windows were closed. The lights were on in several rooms. Nothing had been disturbed. Nothing missing. Shoes remained by the door. Wallets sat on counters. Phones were charging where they always did. The keys were in the usual bowl. Yet every member of the Smith family had vanished. By 8:45, Margaret had called her husband's phone. Straight to voicemail. Her voice shaking, she called the boys' phones. Silence. Neighbors were alerted shortly thereafter. A few came over to check. The backyard gate was closed. The swings swayed slightly in the breeze. No one had entered. No one had left. Police arrived within 15 minutes. They moved with the calm urgency of people who have seen strange things, but rarely this strange. First, they checked the house top to bottom. Bedrooms showed no signs of struggle. Closets untouched. Toys still scattered in the playroom. The dog slept in its bed, tail flicking in occasional dreams. The cat remained perched on the windowsill, staring outside with the same indifferent gaze it had always held. Outside, the driveway was empty. No tire tracks. No footprints in the grass. No signs of a forced entry. Investigators combed the neighborhood. Security cameras from nearby houses were collected. Most showed the street as it normally appeared. Some captured the Smiths' driveway in brief frames before 8:30 p.m. Then nothing. No cars pulling away. No shadows. Nothing. Neighbors who lived closest reported nothing unusual. One claimed to see the Smiths in the living room at 8:20. Another remembered seeing David in the garage at roughly the same time. Conflicting testimonies emerged. The human brain struggles under stress. Perception can warp. By 9:30, the story had reached the local news. Family of 4 vanishes without trace scrolled across screens. Volunteers began canvassing the area, distributing flyers, ringing doorbells. Tips poured in. Most led nowhere. Some suggested foul play. Others pointed to a voluntary disappearance, though that idea seemed impossible. Why would 4 people leave without their possessions? Without preparation? Without saying goodbye? The next morning, drones and search helicopters hovered over the neighborhood. K-9 units scoured the woods and creeks nearby. Nothing turned up. No discarded clothing. No forced entry marks. No clue about direction, method, or motive. Investigators considered every scenario. Was it a kidnapping? But abductions of entire families are rare and usually leave traces, vehicles, calls, witnesses. Could it have been a cult? A crime of revenge? Yet the Smiths were private but ordinary people. Their neighbors liked them. No one had grudges known to authorities. Could it have been voluntary? Evidence suggested not. None of their personal items were taken. No plans were left. Their passports were in the usual drawer. Their car keys untouched. Days turned into weeks. Searches extended beyond the town, the county, the state. Forensic teams examined the house repeatedly. They dusted every surface. They looked for DNA, hair, fibers, anything that could indicate someone had entered. Nothing. Tips from other states arrived. Some claimed sightings on highways. All turned out to be false leads. Investigators began tracing phone towers and IP addresses. Every phone registered at home before the disappearance. Every device stationary. Social media posts continued to flood in, each promising new information. The truth was always disappointing. None of it checked out. 2 months later, the Smiths' house remained frozen in time. Dishes on the counter, shoes by the door, half-drunk glasses, everything exactly as it had been the night they vanished. A layer of dust had begun to settle, yet it didn't mask the strangeness of it all. Theories multiplied. A secret underground tunnel? Impossible. None existed in the house's blueprints. A slip into another dimension? Impossible to prove, but some began whispering it aloud. Witnesses continued to give inconsistent accounts of the last evening. The more time passed, the more contradictions crept in. The case was assigned to the state task force specializing in missing persons. Agents meticulously reconstructed timelines. They examined weather patterns, satellite imagery, traffic patterns, all ordinary things that now seemed like potential clues. Investigators revisited family members, friends, coworkers. Nothing unusual had been reported. No strange visitors, no odd phone calls, no hidden debts or conflicts. Every interaction painted the family as stable, loving, ordinary. Months became a year. Press coverage waned. Volunteers returned to normal routines. Yet for those who loved the Smiths, the house remained a monument to absence. Neighborhood children were warned to stay inside. Adults glanced at doors before sleeping. Awareness campaigns emerged. Check in with neighbors, notice changes in routines, trust instincts when something feels off. 1 year later, a package arrived at the police station with no return address. Inside was a single photograph of the Smiths. They were smiling, sitting around a table, perfectly composed. Handwriting on the back simply read, "Safe." For now. The handwriting was analyzed. No matches. The photograph was authentic but inexplicably out of context. It raised more questions than answers. Every morning afterward, neighbors pass the house, some slowing as they drive by. Windows remain locked. Lights sometimes flicker. The house seems alive yet empty. The Smiths' disappearance became a cautionary tale. A chilling reminder that danger can exist in familiarity. That normalcy is not always protection. That silence can hide more than we realize. No arrests. No traces. No closure. Only an entire family gone without a single item taken, leaving behind the most ordinary of evenings and the most extraordinary mystery. The house waits. The neighborhood waits. And somewhere, perhaps, the Smiths are waiting too, in a story that refuses to end, in a night that never fully resolves, in a lesson about the hidden signs most people ignore until it's too late. Awareness is the only defense. Watch for what feels out of place. Notice what changes in routine. Pay attention to the quiet details. Because ordinary nights can hide unimaginable secrets. And sometimes, an entire family disappears in the span of hours, leaving behind nothing but questions, silence, and the weight of what should have been.